Striking, I felt in the last 2 days, is that all of those who had come from outside Brazil or were speaking from outside Brazil, we were all stunned at your macroeconomic indicators and your approach. Because here is a country that looks actually hugely comfortable from the point of view of being able to ward off external threats. You don't have a large external debt. In fact, you have barely any external debt. You have very large reserves. You have relatively low inflation, and you have a relatively low public debt to GDP ratio. You're in the bottom half of countries in terms of the public debt to GDP ratio. Yet you say, oh my goodness, we have to have a primary budget surplus. Why? And you say we have to have these really high interest rates. Why? It doesn't make sense. This is a legacy from the 1980s, when you were running very large deficits and you had high inflation. It's a very different world. It's a very different context. At that time, it was worth trying to stabilize your budget. Now, all you're doing is tying your own hands. It's a very masochistic policy. And so all of us came and said, why are you doing all that damage to yourselves? Why this self-inflicted pain where you will not invest? Now, let's see that you have a really low investment rate. And a large part of that is because the public sector is barely investing. Because public investment crowds in private investment. It creates infrastructure, it provides amenities, it provides demand, it improves supply conditions. And that's well known now. I mean, everyone recognizes this. You have the space to do that. You don't have to run a primary budget surplus. You can spend much more on investment, public investment. And that would bring in more private investment, that would generate more growth.